Hey guys, welcome back to another For the Win offseason grades. Today we'll be looking at the AFC East. I'm Evan Thorpe. This is our lead NFL writer, Stephen Ruiz. And let's start off with the Super Bowl champion Patriots. As you know, the Patriots don't really make big moves in the offseason, but I think the biggest move came when they lost their jack of all trades tight end, Rob Gronkowski. They also lost a lot of talent with Trey Flowers and Trent Brown, but they'll be getting a lot of comp picks in return. And they also added to the defensive line with adding Michael Bennett, trading him with the Eagles. What have you seen from a team that really didn't have to make much moves and didn't really make any big moves this offseason?
I mean, this is what they always do. They just sit back, let other teams poach their star talent, and they overpay for them, and then they just find a cheap replacement. And I think that's what they've done, especially with Trey Flowers. Detroit definitely overpaid for him. I think they've given him like $17, $18 million a year. Meanwhile, the Patriots pick up someone who I think is a better player, a more all-around player in Michael Bennett, and they're paying him half the price. I think that was a smart pickup, and they only gave up a sixth-round pick, and they got a seventh in return. So basically, they got him for nothing. The big loss is obviously Gronk. There's no replacing Gronk, and I think they did a good job of like not pouring all their draft capital into replacing him. There was a lot of talk about them trading up for TJ Hawkinson, who went in the top 10. They didn't do that. Instead, they took a big wide receiver in N'Keal Harry. He's like a contested catch guy. He can work the seams like Gronk did. So I think he kind of replaces what Gronk gave them in the passing game.
All right, so no real big splashes with this team. What do you give them this offseason?
I'm giving them an A-, just because I don't think they got significantly better, but I don't think they got worse. And that's always hard to do. These Super Bowl rosters, they always get poached by other teams. But I think they stayed the same. They're still the best team in the league, just like they were at the end of last year. So, A-.
All right, next up we have a team in Miami who finds a way to always beat the Patriots every year, but they got their franchise quarterback for the future with Josh Rosen. They traded for Josh Rosen on the second day of the draft, and they also had Christian Wilkins from Clemson join their squad. So they got some help on defense, got some help on offense, but they also lost a lot of talent. What have you seen from this young Dolphins team? Are they looking to compete now, or are they looking to tank?
No, I think they're tanking. They're not going to say they're tanking, obviously, but based on their moves, they let a lot of veteran talent just walk in free agency. Cam Wake, Jawan James, they both left for relatively big deals. They weren't interested in paying for those veterans because they're trying to start over. They've been 7-9, 8-8, 9-7 since Dan Marino retired, basically. And I think it was the right move. You have to blow up. You have to blow the roster up. You have to start over, and that's what they've done. And then it's not often that you just have a potential franchise quarterback fall in your lap. Not only did they get him for only a second-round pick, but they get his contract. It's like a super rookie contract because the Cardinals are stuck with his guaranteed money, so he's only making $6 million over the next 3 years. That's nothing.
All right, so key loss was Hall of Famer Frank Gore leaving and going to a divisional foe. But what do you rank this team's offseason, knowing that they're not looking to win now?
Yeah, you have to take that into account. They're not a better team by any means. They're actually a worse team, but I'm still going to give them an A because they found a franchise quarterback and they made the right decision to start over.
All right. Next up, we have another one of those teams that's in that 500 range as far as where they end up in the season, the Buffalo Bills. They got their rookie quarterback last year with Josh Allen, and it looks like they're going all in to make sure that he has enough weapons and safety to protect him. Where do you see this team going? You just said that the Dolphins are looking to tank. Is this team looking to win now?
Yeah, I think they're just starting to win now. They were in that spot the Dolphins are in now. They were in that spot 2 years ago, but now I think you're starting to see the fruits of this. They kind of adopted the Sixers trust the process slogan, and now you're starting to see them transition into, okay, now we need to start making the playoffs. And they did that by getting just basically every offensive lineman that was available in free agency. The best signing was Mitch Morse, who comes over from Kansas City. He's an underrated center on an underrated line. I think he's really going to improve the line. And then they drafted Cody Ford in the second round. In mock drafts, he was going in the top 20 in a lot of places. And they got him in the second round. And then, like you said, Ed Oliver is just, I thought it was one of the steals of the draft. They got a top 5 talent later in the top 10. So I kind of like what they did. And I mean, I'm not crazy about it, but I gave them a B+ because I do think they're better on paper now. And I think they did all these moves without giving up a lot of cap space or draft capital.
All right, last up we have the team in New York, the New York Jets, and they gave out a lot of money in free agency. They signed Le'Veon Bell. We all know he didn't play last year. He set a year out, so that could be good or bad. They also signed C.J. Mosley, and in the draft, they added the top defensive tackle in Quentin Williams out of Alabama. What are the Jets doing?
I don't know. They have like a new look, both on and off the field. They got new uniforms. They have a transformed roster, but I don't think this roster is necessarily better than it was a year ago. I think they're still like a 6-10 team. They splashed a lot of money on Le'Veon Bell, C.J. Mosley, a running back, and an off-the-ball linebacker. Those two don't really affect the passing game, and that's how you win in today's NFL. Then they went out and spent money on Jamison Crowder, who he's a good receiver when healthy. He just has trouble staying healthy. He has trouble catching the ball. So, yeah, they spent a lot of money, but are they really better? I would say not really. This is still 6-10, 7-9 to me.
What do you grade their offseason?
I'm going to give them a D+. I do think they are a little bit better, but they spent too much money to make marginal improvements, so D+.
All right, next up, we're going into the three-point stance. Who had the best pickup this offseason?
I'm going to give it to the Dolphins, just because you give up nothing, you risk nothing to land a potential franchise quarterback. Even teams that draft a quarterback high are risking something because you're using a first-round pick on something. The Dolphins are only giving up a second. They're only committed to paying him $6 million over the next 3 years. So even if he doesn't work out, they're going to be in a position to draft another quarterback next year. So I think it's a low-risk, high-reward move.
Who had the most underrated move in this division?
I'm going to say the Patriots with the Michael Bennett trade, only giving up a 6th-round pick and getting the 7th in return, and you're not paying him a lot of money. He's still one of the best, I'd say one of the 10 best edge rushers in the league, and he replaces a player that made a lot of money elsewhere who's going to return a comp pick. So it's basically like they're getting him for whatever the difference between a 7th and 3rd round pick is. It was a really good move by them.
All right, last up, who had the worst signing or move this offseason?
The Jets. Just, you can take your pick between C.J. Mosley and Le'Veon Bell. I'm going to lean towards Le'Veon Bell just because he's a running back. He's a running back with a lot of tread on his tires, and he's a running back we haven't seen play in 2 years. And the last time he did play, he averaged under 4 yards per carry. So they're paying for an elite back. I don't know if they're getting one. And even if they do get one, we know running backs make a marginal impact on the game.
I mean, $78 million between two players.
$78 million guaranteed. That's not even the full length of the contract. $78 million guaranteed.
I wish I was Le'Veon right now. All right, that was the AFC East. Tune in next week as we'll be looking at the AFC North. And just stick around because we're doing everybody, baby. We're doing everybody.